So, I want to invite you on a journey with me of praying dangerous prayers. I decided to do this series because I recently prayed a prayer that God would make me a better servant. Now, what I thought was going to happen was that I would just all of a sudden feel like I just want to do stuff for people. And that is not what happened at all. What happened was God created opportunities and even situations for me to be a better servant. They weren't easy for me to do. It was a challenge. It was me submitting my will and my desire to do something else to this prayer that I had prayed, asking God to make me a better servant. You know, sometimes the things that we ask God for, we don't realize that it's going to take some crushing of our own spirit. It's going to take some changes. It's going to take some pressure. It's going to take some difficulty for us to go through the process of being changed. You know how they talk about diamonds, they start out as maybe coal or whatever it is, and they are compressed. And under that pressure is how they become the amazing, beautiful diamonds that we see. We are much the same. We have to go through a process when we're asking God for these things. We go through a process of sanctification. We go through a process where we have to be put under pressure and we don't like it, right? And sometimes we don't realize that that is exactly what we asked for. So, in my season of learning how to be a better servant, I realized, this is what I asked for. Okay, God, I hear you. And so I went along with it and I humbled myself and I heard exactly what I needed to hear and I changed what I needed to change and I allowed God to do the work in me. So, on this journey, I want to invite you to pray a couple of dangerous prayers if you're willing. And I think that if you do that, you're going to see yourself change and become more like Christ, because that is the call, right? That is what we're supposed to be doing, is being sanctified and becoming holy and more like God so that we can show his light to the world. So the first dangerous prayer is, Lord, break my heart for what breaks yours. Now, this is a prayer that will take our hardened hearts, because I think we see so much in the world. We watch all kinds of crazy mess, people getting killed and hurt and murdered, and our hearts become hard to the point where we're laughing and joking about people dying at the bottom of the ocean. Like, who does that? Apparently, we do as a culture. And I don't think that that is the heart of Christ. So when you pray and ask God to break your heart for what breaks his, you're asking him to soften your heart, to make you more sensitive to the needs of others and sometimes even to yourself, to his Holy Spirit, and to the world around you. So if you're willing to pray this prayer, I say you should do it, but be ready for whatever happens next, because he hears you and he will answer. Okay, the next prayer is, here I am, Lord, send me. This is a dangerous prayer. You know why? Because all of a sudden your simple, easy life will become much more complex. God has a plan and a purpose for you, and he is looking for those who want to go where he will send them. So when doors all of a sudden start closing that you knew were open, just remember that you prayed this prayer and trust God. This prayer is a prayer that will build your faith, because you will have to be dependent on God for every step that follows this prayer. The next prayer is, increase my faith. Now, when you say increase my faith, it's a little like make me a servant. You think that you're just going to feel that feeling like, I just have faith, I can do anything. But what will probably happen will be that God will create opportunities for you to trust him more and build your faith. What that looks like, I don't know. It could be your car breaks down and you have to have the faith that God's going to give you the money to take care of it. It could be any number of things. But just understand that they are opportunities for you to say yes to God, for you to reach your hand up to God, for you to stop being so dependent on yourself and on this world around us and be more dependent on him. All right, the next dangerous prayer is break my pride or make me humble. This is a prayer I've also prayed, which it's not a fun one in the beginning, okay? It's not a fun one, but what it does is it takes away all the things that the world has placed in front of us and some of the things we place in front of ourselves, building ourselves up, saying that we are this or we are that, and that is our identity. And it causes us to back down off of those identities and strictly identify as a Christian or a Christ follower. It's not an easy prayer to pray because when you do, God's going to do something, okay? He's going to do something. And you have to be prepared and recognize, oh, this is a part of me being humbled. When it happened to me, I prayed for it. When I prayed the prayer, I didn't at first recognize that it was me being humbled. But then I did. And I said, okay, God, I hear you. And I went through the process. I'm telling you, these prayers, they sound so simple, but they are dangerous in the best way possible. Okay, the next dangerous prayer is give me a heart of forgiveness. Now, you know, in order to forgive people, something has to happen to you or against you. So be prepared. Every prayer that you pray opens an opportunity for God to move to answer it, right? Sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes the answer is no. But in these prayers, when we're praying for God to give you a heart of forgiveness, that goes along with being humble, right? Being able to say, it's not my will, but your will. I will forgive this person. I'm going to let it go because they are children of God too. And they deserve forgiveness as much as I deserve forgiveness. Get ready, y'all. That's an intense one. All right. Then the next dangerous prayer is, God, grant me the courage to speak boldly. Okay, so when you pray this prayer, God's going to give you opportunities to speak boldly. It's going to take you opening your mouth. I suggest saying a prayer as well, but opening your mouth and saying what the Holy Spirit tells you to say. And you may not get a good response, and that's okay. That's biblical. That's what happens sometimes. But sometimes you open your mouth when the Holy Spirit tells you to, and you get the exact thing you were hoping for. That someone else's life is changed by the Holy Spirit working through you. So don't be afraid to be bold, and don't be afraid to pray this prayer. And the last one we're going to do is, God, help me to see my idols and destroy them. A lot of us have idols that we love. It could be a person, it could be a thing, it could be something you love to do. It could be yourself. And when you pray this prayer, you give God the freedom to destroy some stuff. And it's going to be painful, and it's going to be some stuff you may not even realize was there. But God's known the whole time, and he's been waiting for you to give him the space to do what he needs to do. So if you're coming on this journey with me to pray these dangerous prayers, I want to hear all about it. I want to hear what he's done for you, what has happened in your life, and how your heart has been changed. So go pray something dangerous.